In this step, we'll replace our main graphics for the game, such as car graphics. The author asks us to change at least the icon for the game before publishing to the Play Store, but we want to replace more than just the icon. We want to create a new experience for the users by adding more value to our project. In order to simply replace the images, we have to drag and drop the new images over the ones located in the ᴘrᴏ folder. But there are a few rules to follow when replacing game assets in general. For images, this will need to have the same dimensions and file type as the original ones. Also, this will have to be renamed as the originals. So, for example, if we want to replace an image file called car.png, which has 100 pixels width and 200 pixels height, we'll have to replace this with another image having the same file type, PNG in our case, same dimensions, 100 by 200 pixels, and the same file name, car.png. As for the sound and music files, this will have to be again the same file type and to have the same name as original. If we want to replace our music.mp3 file, we'll need another mp3 file which will name it music.mp3. Let's get back to our Eclipse IDE and locate the files that we need to replace. As discussed, these are located in the Rᴘsධɪռ folder and then inside the drawable folder. If we open one file, for example car1.png, we can see that this contains one of the cars available in the game. This happens to be also the player's car. So, in case we want to replace the player's car in our game, this is the file that we will have to replace. All the other graphics assets are located in this folder, like trees, stones, clouds, and so forth. If we switch to our source code folder, we can find a directory called Editable Graphics. This contains all the game graphic files in editable format, so you can easily modify it. For example, let's open the car.psd file. This file contains the same blue car as the player's car, but being a PSD or Photoshop document file, you get several layers that you can enable or disable in order to change the car aspect or color. The same thing you can do with other graphic assets, so it's very nice that the author has provided us the game graphics in editable format for an easier reskin process. But in this course, I will not use this editable graphics file in order to reskin the game. Instead, I will purchase another graphic package that will contain most, if not all, the graphics elements that I want to replace. I'll do that again by opening a web browser tab and navigating to the CodeCanyon website. As we discussed earlier, you can find almost anything you need in order to fully reskin your game on CodeCanyon Marketplace. But in case we are looking specifically for graphics, this can be found on another site which is a member of Envato Market called Graphic River. You can access it by simply typing graphicriver.net in your web browser. Like CodeCanyon, Graphic River offers a multitude of graphic elements for your projects, being web applications, textures, vectors, add-ons, game assets, and so on. In order to find something for my game, I will simply search for car racing game. Let's see the results. First, there is a car racing game tileset. Sounds good, let's see more info about it. This will only cost $4, so a reasonable price. And this is what you'll get for that price. These are looking pretty good, but a bit cartoonish for my style. But as we can see, this package contains almost everything we need for our game, starting with cars, roads, terrains, and finishing with trees. Let's take a look at another package. This one is called Complete Car Racing Game Kit. It is more expensive than the previous one, but let's see what it has to offer. The cars of this package are looking more realistic. The package also contains terrains, trees, and other game elements that we might need. And most of all, I like how it looks, even it is more expensive than the previous one. And if we take a look at the screenshots, we can see that some of these graphics combined can create a stunning environment for our car racing game. So I decided to purchase this graphic package. I have already downloaded it in my computer. Let's extract it and see its content. There is an assets folder containing JPEG and PSD files with our graphics. The PSD format can be easily edited in Adobe Photoshop. Let's open the car_png folder, and inside this we can find 6 cars which are looking pretty close to the ones that we want to replace. This means that we don't need to do much editing on these cars. I'm going to open one of these cars in Photoshop, and it looks pretty good. I like it. One thing that we probably need to do is to get rid of these large margins surrounding the car. But let's take a look at the original image first. So, comparing these two images, we can see that at the first sight, the car can be easily replaced. We have enough cars to replace our originals, and the new ones are looking more polished than the actual cars. As discussed earlier, one thing to keep in mind is the size of the image. The new images are 250 by 250 pixels, while the original ones are 100 by 189 pixels, so we'll need to resize the new images a bit. Back in Photoshop, I will close this file and we'll take a look at the difference between the original car image and the new one. As we can see, the blue car, the original, has a small border around it, while the white one has a much larger border. So I'll need to get rid of this margin or border by selecting only the car and the small portion around it. In order to do that, I will use the selection tool to drag a rectangle around the car, as close as possible to it, but including all the important elements of the car, like the mirrors for example. Next, I will copy this selection and will paste it into a new file. But first I need to create that file, so I will go to the file menu and will select new from there. When creating this file, it's important to set its background content as transparent. This will make sure that the border around our car is not interfering with other game graphics, so make sure that the background content is set to transparent. The dimensions of the file are not important right now because we'll resize our image later. So I will click OK, and then I will use the edit menu in order to paste the copied selection into the newly created file. Great! The borders around our car has been significantly reduced. Next, I will use the Move tool in order to arrange the car in the center of the image, and the final step is to actually resize the image to match the one of our original car image. In order to do that, I will switch back to Windows Explorer to check for the original car image size. As we can see, this image is 100 pixels width and 189 pixels height. Back to Photoshop, I'll go to the image menu and will select image size from there. Then I will enter the new values as 100 for the width and 189 for the height. If one unit is automatically changing when you change the other unit, you need to make sure that the aspect ratio option is not checked, so you can change this size independently. Lastly, make sure that the unit for the image size is pixels and not something else like inches, for example. And then we click OK. Great! Now that our image has the same dimensions as the original one, we need to save it. To do that, I use the Save As option located in the File menu. We want to replace our blue car image with the new white car image, so first we need to locate the original image on our hard drive. In order to do that, I will switch back to Eclipse to see where the images are located, and we'll simply right-click on any image and we'll select Properties from the menu that appears. Then we can see the location of the file. I will copy this path and will paste it in my Save As window in order to overwrite the car1.png file. So I'll select PNG as file type and will click on the original image file in order to replace it. I'll click Save and the confirmation dialog appears asking me if I want to replace the image. I'll just click yes, and looks like the original image is already opened in Photoshop, so I will need to close it first. I'll close the file and will repeat the saving procedure. And this time it worked. To double check that, I will open the car1.png file from Eclipse, and now the white Audi R-Opt is displayed instead of the original blue Porsche car. Let's run the game and see the changes. I will again use the emulator to run the game, and this time I will select the Use Same Device for Future Launches options in order to stop asking me about what device I want to use to run the game. After a few seconds, the game has started, and we can still see the blue car. That is because Eclipse didn't detect that we changed one of our graphic files, because we did that from another program outside of Eclipse. To solve this problem, we simply right-click on our project and select Refresh from the menu. This will tell Eclipse that we have changed some files and we want it to reflect the changes. I will run the game one more time, and again, after a few moments, the game has started in our emulator. Now, if we click play, we can see that the new Audi car has successfully replaced the blue one in our game. And I can see that this is looking pretty good. So, in this lesson, we took a look at how we can replace our game graphics. We have several options here. We can edit the graphics that were supplied by the author along with the game source code, but we decided to purchase a new graphic package from graphicriver.net and use these new assets in our game. We'll see how to replace the ones located in the res drawable folder. But there are a few rules to follow when replacing game assets in general. For images, this will need to have the same dimensions and file type. I want to replace more than just the icon. We want to create a new experience for the users by adding more value to our project. In order to simply replace the images, we have to drag and drop the new images over and 200 pixels height. We'll have to replace this with another image having the same file type, PNG in our case, same dimensions, 100 by 200 pixels, and the same file names. In this step, we'll replace our main graphics for the game, such as car graphics. The author asks us to change at least the icon for the game before publishing to the Play Store, but we want the original ones. Also, this will have to be renamed as the originals. So, for example, if we want to replace an image file called car.png, which has 100 pixels width